Ethical dilemmas with productivity. I think it happens a lot more than people think. For example, if someone is evaluated, and I think more so for therapists, that I'm a PTA, so like a PT. So if they did an evaluation for a patient and they thought this person was appropriate for 30 minutes, then the therapist may put down 30 minutes. But because this person has a particular insurance that would pay, for more minutes, let's say like an ultra would be like 70 minutes, then the company will push for 70 minutes because, hey, this patient has this insurance, why don't you bump them up to this? And this is where I believe therapists hit a big dilemma. OTs, PTs, speech, it's across the board. Now you have companies that are pushing for these high minutes on patients, and it's not necessarily appropriate, and it's interesting because I actually just had a conversation with another therapist about this, and it's whoever's in charge, or your DOR is, getting pressure from their higher ups. Their higher up may be, their regional may be a therapist as well, but then their higher up is getting pressure by their higher ups. So which typically ends up being people who are not therapists. So you have the assistants who follow what the therapist put down. So if a therapist says 70 minutes, which is an ultra, then the assistant conducts a treatment. Depending on the assistant, you do have the right to say, hey, this person is not appropriate. But then obviously that'll cause some kind of friction. So now if you have a therapist that tells their DOR, hey, I'm not comfortable with this, then, that'll cause friction. Then you have your DOR speaking to your regional saying, hey, my therapist don't want to do this. Now the regional is going to get friction from their higher ups, and the trickle down is most of the times from people who aren't therapists. So I think that's one of the biggest dilemmas that is happening, productivity wise, or ethical dilemma, because now, these minutes that are being recommended for some patients are not appropriate. And, it happens in most settings, but I do think it happens a little bit more in SNFs, and especially when it's a bigger company. I think they push a lot more for those rugs.